Xeonau here, and we're taking a look at Wargaming's Master of Orion. This is the early access version 42.6, and today's video just going to walk you through some of the 9 playable races that are available, and some of the features of the custom race setting as well.
Hailing from the cloudy planet Altair, the proud Alkari are an old race of avian hominids. Although well known for their peaceful disposition, they are fierce in combat and will rarely back out of a fight if they believe they have just cause. The Skylord rules over the flock uncontested. He is the de facto commander of all Alkari fleets, crewed by highly skilled and disciplined soldiers. Their pilots are among the finest in the galaxy. Alkari religion permeates every aspect of their culture, and their zeal can oftentimes be confused with fanaticism. They believe the god of sky created the Alkari to gaze over every horizon, and have been driven into space to fulfill that calling.
So the Alkari is clearly a race that's suited to warfare, particularly in space with the ships. So if you have a look, they get a bit of a head start with their homeworld, with some artifacts being available, which will be a boost to research, getting them ahead of the research curve. Beam defense 25% higher than normal on ships is going to be quite useful in the sort of mid to end game, as some of the enemies start using the beam attacks on you. The ship improvement combat speed is going to help you maneuver your ships a bit better tactically in the tactical overview when you have ship-to-ship combat, and a starting tech of physics as well.
The harsh Ursa system is home to the Bullrothy, a ferocious warrior race committed to the preservation of nature. Fearless and brutal in combat, they rely on their strength to overcome opponents, while their heavily armored fleets withstand wave after wave of enemy attacks. Fiercely territorial, they are usually reluctant to strike the first blow, but they will go toe-to-toe with anyone who wanders into their domain. Their rich spiritual life revolves around the Hag, an elder who speaks for nature itself. It was the will of the Hag that pushed the Bullrothy into space, as they sought to place the entire galaxy under their protection by any means necessary.
So once again, fairly combat focused race. They have homeworld rich minerals, which means you're going to get a boost to production and all your structures and ships that you're able to pump out. The ground combat rating plus 25% means they're well suited to either defend ground-based invasions or land sort of attack ships with troops and try and conquer planets like that. The gravity tolerance, high gravity, means planets that are closer to suns in their systems are going to be easily colonizable by this race. You'll find if you don't have sort of low or high gravity tolerances that you'll get less production and overall efficiency out of your population on planets that you colonize that your race is not tolerant of. And the starting tech of physics once more.
After ages of internal conflict, and faced with dwindling natural resources on their home planet of Earth, humanity finally came together to form a consolidated government, replacing the many nations once dotting its political landscape. This new government brought unification, eroding long-held distinctions based on race, color, creed, and gender. Humanity thrived and at long last reached for the stars. Now, out of the Sol system, the human republic arises.
Okay, so the human race, they're less able to deal with spies and stuff, which is quite amusing. So that's lower than normal. But they do have great boosts in terms of playing the diplomatic game. So if you can establish trade treaties, you'll get an extra 25% credits from that. So that's one thing that you want to be focusing on doing if you're playing through against the AI. They've got improved negotiations with the AI, with diplomacy, and an improved disposition as well. Meaning the actions and consequences are overall in your favor. And they start off with the government tech as well. So very much the race if you want to play the diplomatic game.
Deep in the caves of Koldon, the insect-like Klakon evolved to form the Hive, a unified consciousness stretching from drone to queen. As such, the industrious Klakon have no individual needs, no desires, and no ambitions other than the benefit of the Hive itself. This effectively makes them tireless workers and fearless warriors, each and every one willing to give their lives for the Hive. Having nearly exhausted their home planet, the Hive has begun its galactic expansion in search of more resources and room to grow.
Okay, so bit of a debuff on the homeworld minerals. So slower than normal production of minerals. They do have an uber planet available called Cavernous, which is new in the recent patch. So you can transform planets into the highly improved cavernous planets, which makes sense for an insect-like race. This is a big benefit, plus 50% production in food, which is basically great for expanding your population. You're not going to run into food issues as quickly as the other races. An extra 25% production from the population, meaning that they're more efficient at generating the production that you need to build ships and structures. And they start off with the biology tech. So I think some of the benefits will outweigh that that negative of the poor minerals and slower production, but I'll wait and see when I do a playthrough on that race.
Coexisting in a sprawling, jumbled network filled with incessant chattering voices and signals, the Mechlin Combine is an artificial ecosystem of AIs from the planet Mechlin. While most Mechlin have distinct cybernetic bodies to allow them to interact with their environment, many reside as programs and subroutines of the main Combine cycle. Ruled by the Overseer routine, they are industrious, capable of producing infrastructure and large fleets in a very short time. But the constant buzz of opinions and endlessly iterating cycles of application requests and updates make them erratic and unpredictable.
Okay, so the Mechlin, this is the race that I want to play next. Food consumption, negative 50% usage of food, which is basically the same as the previous benefit from the Klakon. Plus 25% extra production, which is great for building structures and ships. Now this benefit here, the ship auto repair enabled, this would have to be a game changer for me. If you're having waves of attacks with your ships or you're fighting off pirates and stuff, having ship auto repair in the early to sort of mid game is going to be essential to basically dominating, because it means you have to do less replacement of your ships, you have to be a little bit less wary with your ships as well. It's that is a huge racial trait benefit, that one. And they start off with the physics tech as well.
The blazing savannas of Fieras gave rise to the ruthless warriors known as the Mershon. But their hot temper almost proved to be their undoing. After years on the brink of civil war, the Mershon Empress now rules over her pride without question. Mershons are willful and independent, and their long history as hunters has shaped their culture fittingly. They see themselves as the peak of predators, and any other life form who crosses their path is regarded as fair game. They often strike out against even their closest allies just for the sport of battle. They are easily offended and will pursue relentlessly anyone they feel has slighted them, heedless of the consequences.
The disposition of this particular race in terms of AI means that they very rarely make treaties with other races, so they make for your first best target when you're playing. They start off with the homeworld size that's large, which means it can have an overall larger population at the end, which will be useful for generating credits, producing ships, fleets, etc. They have a unique uber planet. They can change desert planets into grassland, which is useful. They have an extended barracks, which means they can support more ground units to defend against, say, the Bullrothy or one of the other races that has strong combat efficiency that may try to land ships and soldiers on your planet. Useful in defense. And they start off with the tech of engineering.
Under the supervision of the controller at Mentar, a sprawling network of Cylon communities comprise the Quanta. Devoted to the unraveling of the mysteries of the universe, each quantum investigates independently in order to contribute to the knowledge of the whole. The Cylon are a peaceful race and only keep fleets of highly advanced warships as defensive measures. Brilliant researchers, they are often ahead in the technological race, yet seldom seem to take advantage of their superiority. Instead, they prefer to trade for new discoveries while shielding themselves from the rest of the galaxy in order to continue investigating in peace.
So the Cylon, this was the first playthrough that I did. Quite like the race. Obviously the race to play with trying to out-research everyone and basically using your advanced weapons against their sticks and stones. They start off with a large homeworld, which supports a larger population overall, so it'll be useful for pumping out fleets and research and just about everything else. Definitely a debuff on the ground combat rating, which is why when I played, I rarely used them to engage in ground combat at all. You want to try and fight stuff in the air with your ships or in space with your ships, and you want to use your advanced technology to take them out before they can do the ground combat to any of your planets. They've also got the low gravity tolerance, meaning that planets that are further from stars will be easily colonizable by this race, but they will still get the debuff against high gravity planets. They also start off with the government tech, but overall a really good starting race to play if you want to sort of out-research and dominate.
Primal in their ways, the cold-blooded Sacra from the planet Sla seem uncouth and unenlightened to many of the other races. However, their hulking forms and rustic rituals belie an enduring memory that has helped them reach the stars. They are lorded over by the Hierarch, a long-lived progenitor, and in a very literal sense, the father to much of the brood. His main concern is for his offspring, whether acquiring colonies for them to reproduce or securing the resources necessary for their survival. It follows that the Hierarch adopts a familiar and fatherly tone towards those he regards as allies. To the Sacra, everyone is either part of the family or a hated enemy.
This particular race, the population growth is going to be a big benefit for colonizing planets and boosting your population, which overall gives you more money, gives you more production, gives you more research, so quite useful all-round sort of benefits here. Their uber planet, the tropical one, means that they're going to get a lot more productivity out of a swamp planet that you can change into a tropical planet, and they start off with the biology technology, but overall a pretty nice, easy race to play through, particularly with that population growth. That's going to be a huge advantage all the way through the game.
It was during the darkest times of human history that the Age of the Khans dawned. All over their homeworld, civil unrest was mounting as society crumbled under the weight of deviancy, corruption, and greed. Mankind was poised to destroy itself in a tidal wave of chaos and despair when the first of the Khans rose to power. His callous rule was one of drastic measures of cullings and purges. Castes were established, dissidents were hushed, and little by little the race was forced to survive. Following his example, the Terran Khanate has continued to secure the survival of their species and now seeks to guarantee its place in the galaxy for generations to come.
So the Terran look to be quite a attack-focused sort of race. Ship cost negative 20% means that it's going to use less production, and for your buy outright on ships will be a lot less. Improved beam attack 25% means that those beams, when you get in closer in the tactical combat, are going to do that much more damage. This benefit here, the command points plus 20%, is a huge one because that means that they can sustain overall a larger sort of defensive presence, whether that's in the form of the Warpole defense type units, which use command points, or in fleet size overall. So an extra 20% compared to all the other races on the command points is huge, and that will definitely help them sustain larger fleets, larger defensive presence, making them pretty hard target. And they start off with the engineering tech. There's 2 races that have yet to be revealed. I hope they come out in future patches. I'll try and do a video on those as well. The custom race, you obviously choose a base genetics for the race, and then you have an available set of points and a score modifier, and each of the benefits that you choose will either have a minus point or a positive point cost. Minus points will give you more available points, and then you can spend them with the positive, so plus 50% credits but less population growth. And there's a huge number of factors to choose here, so you can basically build your own race if one of the custom made ones doesn't suit. Auto ship repairs only 20 points. That is definitely one that I'd recommend on any sort of any build. Command points are pretty cheap as well. You need a minus 20. Homeworld is arid. Homeworld minerals poor. We don't really have a 10-pointer we can spend on artifacts. So there we've created less minerals on our homeworld. Artifact meaning more research available on the homeworld. Plus 50% credits from population will give you a huge advantage. Plus 10% command points, also a pretty big advantage as well. And the auto ship repair, that would be quite a devastating race. And you can obviously name the leader and choose the base genetics as well, which will do some of the videos and stuff like that for you, and the types of ships that you get. But that's it for the race overview. Thanks for watching. Cheers.